Good morning, and welcome back to another edition of Gumball Sports Machine on this beautiful Friday morning, eventful Friday morning for me. Went in, did a little Amazon Flex this morning and got a flat, so that was fun. Had to change that in the middle of the road. So once again, Kevin looks very happy to be here. Very lots of smiles on his face. Kevin, how are you doing?
Okay,
Oh, why is it just okay?
because I just woke up.
That's fair. That's fair. I do see you got a lot of ice on your neck there. A lot of ice worth a lot of money.
I got this on Timu.
All right. Good morning. We're back again. Day before the weekend, man. Happy Friday. Friday's always good days. Um, talk about a whole bunch of stuff. And to begin all those bunch of stuff, as always, on every day on Gumball Sports Machine, we start off going over the top sports stories of the day in our first segment called Something to Chew On. First up, JJ Redick signed 4-year deal become their new head coach. Jeannie Buss, it was reported that Jeannie Buss was disappointed that they were not able to get Dan Hurley. But before the pre-reported by Shams Charania of JJ Redick going to the Lakers has now become true. Kev, what's your initial? We're gonna talk about it here in a few minutes. But what's your initial reaction to it?
I saw. I don't know if it was Woj or someone that posted on Instagram, and then I sent it to our group chat. And then my initial reaction was like, "Wow!" Like, I didn't. We were just talking about Monty Williams to possibly going to the Lakers, and then hours later, that stuff happens. So I'm over here like, "Wow!" Like, it caught me by surprise. I mean, it was already talks about Redick going to the Lakers, but I didn't think it would happen like instantly, like right there. I thought they were gonna like keep waiting a little longer to look at other candidates, but they pulled the trigger, and I mean, let's see how he does for the Lakers this season.
Yeah, I think it's very intriguing. It's a very intriguing story. We've talked about it multiple times on this show specifically. JJ Redick knows his stuff. He obviously knows his stuff, but that's maybe not even the most important part of being an NBA head coach. You have to be a leader of men. You have to be able to lead the men and not exactly tell them what to do, but tell them what to do and why they are doing it. And so how they can get better and why they're doing this so that they can win. Can JJ Redick do that? Obviously, we know his basketball stuff from the podcast to him broadcasting on ESPN during the finals and all this, that, and the other. Can he be a leader of men? That is my biggest word for JJ Redick. I liked Monty Williams a lot more for the Lakers. We talked about it yesterday. I liked him especially because of his relationship with Anthony Davis. So Monty Williams could be the head coach of the future there, even after LeBron retires and it turns into Anthony Davis's team. But they ended up going with JJ Redick. I'm sure LeBron had something to do with it. LeBron, I'm sure he had a big part in bringing in JJ Redick. So such is life. JJ Redick, the new Lakers NBA head coach.
I did see him on another podcast. When I'm not sure who it was, but she asked him about possibly coaching for the Lakers in the league. He said like who he learned from the most was he learned from Coach K.
Yep.
And like learn from Coach K as a leader. So I noticed that just this morning too. So yeah, I mean if he's taking the things that he learned from Coach K, it could be something pretty good as well.
Yeah, I saw that video too. And Coach K, obviously being one of the greatest basketball coaches in general that's ever lived. So yeah, JJ Redick, we'll see. Obviously, he knows his stuff, but can he be the leader of men that the Lakers are looking for at this moment in time? We're gonna get into some NFL stuff later in the show, but I do want to have you react to this as a Patriots fan. Ramondre Stevenson signs a 4-year extension for $36 million, including $17 million guaranteed. Was this a good extension? Do you think he got overpaid, underpaid? What do you think as a Patriots fan you are?
I think he got paid the right amount because last year he was hurt, and Zeke had to take over. But the year before that, I mean, we saw the way he was playing. I mean, there is a reason why we let go of Damian Harris and we give the starting role to Ramondre Stevenson. He had a stellar year 2 seasons ago, and if when healthy, he is one of the, in my opinion, he's one of the underrated backs because of what he can bring, not only running the ball but also in the passing game as well. So I'm excited to see what he brings this upcoming season and the seasons afterward as well.
Yeah, it's. I think Ramondre Stevenson can be a productive back. Like you said, he was hurt a lot of last year, so he wasn't able to do as much as probably he would have liked to. But Ramondre Stevenson is a very, very good back, especially out of the backfield. Giving now Drake May or Jacoby Brissett a option out of the backfield to dump off, and giving it to Ramondre Stevenson and him being able to work in the open field on those flat routes, on those little, those little out routes that running backs usually do. And so his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, work in the open field, I think is very good. He got an extension. I think it was a well-deserved extension. I think he will be a good running back in this league. I don't know if he'll be top 10, but he will be a very good running back in this league. So, and has been for the past few years, and deservedly so, earned that contract. The Philadelphia 76ers' interest in pursuing Paul George has significantly waned in recent days, and the franchise is expected to be aggressive elsewhere while with its salary cap flexibility and draft capital leading into next week's NBA draft. The sources tell The Athletic and Stadium. That was Shams Charania's tweet yesterday about Paul George, and the Sixers have definitely been one of those places where we have been able to see Paul George go to in his free agency. After hearing that, Kev, what's your reaction to that now?
I'm not even gonna lie. After seeing the interaction with Paul George and Joel Embiid in the finals, when they were on the mic together, I mean, if you have to put the pieces together, that's one of the pieces you should piece in, because I mean, if Joel's, I mean, he can be more clear. Joel asking help me and winking, or not winking, but side eyeing Paul George. I think it could be a very good possibility, a very high possibility of Paul George laying on the Sixers. Now, production-wise, what he can bring to the Sixers, I think it's perfect. I think they need a good wing, a good. He's not a superstar anymore, in my opinion. He's a good star, a good all-star. And I think if he can bring that to the Sixers, being the second option or possibly even the third option, that would be beneficial for the 76ers. And he also said it himself too on the podcast with Clay. He said on the championship team he's not number one option. He's the number 2 option. So if Philly does want to contend for the chip this upcoming season, I think it's not right now is the time to go for someone like Paul George.
Yeah, obviously you hear that report and they're starting to look away from Paul George. The 76ers are starting to look they had interest, but now it's starting to go away. I think not this part. I don't think this part. I know this league is made up of stars. The more stars you have, the more eyes you bring, the better the team is, the more money that comes in. The reason why I say that is because if Joel Embiid wants Paul George, there's a good chance Paul George becomes the 76er because you're appeasing to your stars. If Joel Embiid, it was the same thing when Kawhi went to the Clippers. Kawhi told, I think Jerry West at the time, God rest his soul, but Jerry West at the time, I'm not coming here unless you bring me Paul George. And that's exactly what they did. May not have worked out, but that's what Kawhi wanted, and that's what happened. So if Joel Embiid wants Paul George there bad enough, I think Paul George will be there, whether their interest in Paul George has waned or not. And it would be very interesting to see Paul George on the 76ers and his ability to work with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey as being that third scorer and or wing, defensive wing especially. Although he's not very good, or he's not nearly as good defensively as he was 3-4 years ago. But it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I think free agency officially starts up on June 30th. So it'll be very, very interesting to see where he goes. Speaking of another extension, Malik Monk. That's one guy we were talking about yesterday. D'Lo said he's probably the most intriguing piece. He also won't reach free agency. Sacramento Kings signed guard Malik Monk on a 4-year, $78 million deal, including a player option to return to the Sacramento Kings. But he averaged 15 points, 5 assists this year for Sacramento. Was this a good move to bring Malik Monk back by Sacramento?
I think it was. I think I'm not sure what their cap space is looking like as a whole team. If they can bring in another like big name player, but I mean we've seen the Celtics. We've seen even the last year with the Nuggets. I mean you got role players that are going to be beneficial for a championship title. I mean last year you had KCP, you had even Christian Brown and even Bruce Brown as well. You know those guys that come off the bench or are playing alongside stars. You're gonna need them to if your stars are not playing as well or if they're having a bad night. You're gonna need someone like a Malik Monk to come in and score buckets if De'Aaron Fox is struggling. So I think it's a good re-signing for them. Do I still think they're a couple pieces away from contending in the West, especially how heavily stacked they are over there? Yes, I think they're 1 or 2 pieces away from contending for even a top spot in the West.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's a good signing for Sacramento. I think it's good for him to bring him back. Obviously, how well he worked with De'Aaron Fox and the rest of the team. But I agree with you when you said that there's still a few pieces away, a few big pieces away from being any type of championship contending team. So Malik Monk, again, I said it yesterday. If he never got hurt, I believe he would have won 6th Man of the Year. That's just that's how well he played this year. Now, that's no disrespect to Naz Reid because Naz Reid is a phenomenal basketball player and a phenomenal 6-man. But Malik Monk was just a little bit better, I believe, in my opinion, before he got hurt. So I think Malik Monk is a good, very, very good signing. But they gave him a lot of money. They gave him, I think, about 17 a year. They gave him about 17 a year. So I don't know. Again, I don't know how much of an impact he'll be able to have.
What's crazy is Brunson's getting paid $20 million a year, huh?
Brunson is on the best contract in the NBA. I mean, the Knicks have Brunson, huh?
Mikal as well. Is he also on a good deal as well?
Very good. I think Mikal's on like $21-22 million a year for the production he brings. And we're gonna talk about him a little later in the show too, because he's been in some trade talks. But yeah, Malik Monk, obviously, very, very, very good player and much deserving of his deal. Michael's in the comments. All right, bro, leave me and my do-rag alone, bro. I got my braids in, bro. They look kind of crazy right now. Leave me alone, bro. You just being. See, I can't say that on the air though. But lastly, Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was accused of allegedly taking PEDs. I forget what the exact drug is called, but PEDs or steroids before his fight against Devin Haney. Yesterday, the investigation concluded, and Ryan Garcia is suspended for 1 year and forfeits $1 million for his steroids or PEDs or whatever you want to call them. And so the win that he had against Devin Haney is now wiped off the record. Devin Haney is still undefeated. Kev, what do you think about this entire situation?
First of all, Garcia bet on himself and he got what, 12 mil?
Yeah.
So losing that 1 mil is pocket change in that scenario to him. And secondly, everyone in the whole entire world saw Garcia beat Haney's ass. I mean, if we're being clearly honest, I mean,
yeah,
drug use or not, it was an ass beating. Regardless of what the record says, regardless of the outcome of what happened, Haney got humbled, and I think his dad did come out saying if they don't change his record, he's not gonna box anymore. Honestly, bro, like after that fight, my respect for Garcia went up, and then my respect for Haney went down, in my honest opinion, because of what happened. And I mean, like I said, we all seen Haney got his ass handed to him. So that's just the bottom line. This is what I think about the scenario.
I agree with pretty much everything you said. I mean, the steroids he took, I don't remember the name of them, but the drug he took was a drug that allows you to lose weight so he can make weight but keep the muscle that he's been working on for however long. I don't think that had anything to do with his just pure hands, because, like you said, Ryan Garcia gave it to Devin Haney. He gave him everything and some. So again, you can wipe the win off his record, and Devin Haney can go dance at a bowling alley or wherever he was dancing at about still being undefeated. But on the streets everybody saw Ryan Garcia beat him up like really badly. And so I think that's what the world's gonna see. They're not gonna see him as Ryan Garcia took steroids and I guess try to cheat to win or whatever it was. So again, I'm not gonna diss it, but I mean, I guess it is what it is. Congrats to Devin Haney, I guess. I just think he was doing a little too much with the dancing video. To quote you, Kevin, he still got his ass beat. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I guess that's a messed up situation. But that will conclude this version of Something to Chew On. Every morning, first segment of the show, we go over the top stories of the day. But the top story of the past 24 hours, JJ Redick is the new head coach of the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, the hiring has been very much criticized around NBA, around the NBA talking heads, NBA sports heads that are on national television and things like that. So, Kev, you kind of talked about it a little bit in Something to Chew On. Kind of expand on it a little bit. How do you think JJ Redick will be a good fit in LA?
When he was a player, he was a good fit for the LA Clippers. But no, so as a player, he zero coaching experience. I mean, I did see a clip where he was thinking about coaching middle schoolers or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, you said it yourself. We all said it ourselves on the show. I mean, his ball knowledge and his IQ for the game. I mean, it's very high. We're not discrediting of what he can do. On that aspect of the ball level, but when you have zero coaching experience, then you get thrown. Like we said it, I said it myself. When you get thrown to the hellfire, coaching for one of the biggest franchises in NBA history for the LA Lakers, where it's championship or bust, where lots of media attention is eyeing you, and you also have one of the greatest players of all time in LeBron James, you're gonna have lots of scrutiny, and you're gonna have lots of criticism if you don't perform as a coach. And in my opinion, he should have maybe been an assistant before he took the head coaching job. I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to succeed. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to hate or diss on him, but from what I have seen and from what I think might happen is it might be a pretty tough year for him as a coach because of he might get overwhelmed and there's gonna be so much for him to handle, especially when you're the Lakers and it's either championship or it's a horrible season for you.
Yeah, and this might be, besides playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, this might be the hardest job in sports. Coaching for the Lakers, not only at a time in which obviously there was times where Mike Brown was coaching and Luke Walton was coaching, there wasn't really expectations. JJ Redick is coming onto a team in which is one of the most historic franchises in sports, has one of the most historical figures in LeBron James in sports, who is expected to compete or win a championship every year. And obviously you have an Anthony Davis who should be playing at a higher level than he has been the past few years, but just hasn't. But he played pretty well last year. I will give that to him. Yeah, it's again, I don't want to sound like a broken record when I say this, but his knowledge of the game is ridiculously high. I mean, on his podcast, on the broadcast for ESPN of the actual games, I enjoy listening to JJ Redick because I learn more about the game listening to JJ Redick talk about it. Whether it's the Mind the Game podcast or whether it's the Old Man and the Three, I believe his own podcast is called. Or like I said, or whether it's on ESPN, whether he's on First Take or one of the shows, or broadcasting a game, whether he's one of the color people for the game. So JJ Redick's mind for basketball is very high. And you mentioned earlier, he said that he learned the most from Coach K. Again, obviously being one of the most influential basketball coaches that's ever lived on this earth. So again, I'm not taking any of that away from him. Can he lead? Can he lead? Can JJ Redick tell LeBron, you're going to go do this, this, and that because I'm telling you to, but here's why I'm telling you to go do this, this, and that? Can you tell Anthony Davis the same thing? And then can you get them to listen and comprehend why you're telling them to do those things? If they mess up, are you able to discipline them? Again, I understand that they're grown men, but they also have to realize that if you mess up, there's consequences like that in the game. LeBron has obviously played this game long enough to realize that. Anthony Davis has obviously played this game long enough to realize that. Can you be able to lead them in the direction of a championship? My answer is no. I don't think he can. Again, I think LeBron had a lot to do with this. I think LeBron was in Rob Pelinka's ear. I think he was in Jeannie Buss's ear. Hey, you know what? I really like JJ Redick. I think he should come coach here. I think he could lead us to a championship, this, and that. I just don't think he'll be able to lead them to a championship on the forefront, especially with a team led by LeBron James. So I'm very wishy-washy about it. Again, I think Monty Williams would have been a much better hire. I think he would have been a much better fit along with this team. And kind of the pieces that he has around this team, obviously with free agency coming up and the draft coming up. I think JJ Redick will do a good job when it comes to the draft, unless they're just wanting to draft Bronny. But let's also not forget, LeBron currently is not a part of the Lakers organization. He is currently not on the Lakers roster. Do I think he's going to sign with the Lakers? Of course, I think he's going to sign with the Lakers. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. But currently, as of this moment right now, LeBron James is not an active member on the Los Angeles Lakers roster. Let's just remember that. So, Kev, you got any
Pretty much what we talked about. That's all. That's pretty much that needs to be said. I mean, we talked about it on the Something to Chew On segment. We're talking about right now. That's pretty much all we can say because no coaching experience. And you just throw them into a team like the Lakers. I mean, there's gonna be failures along the way, but if there's success, then I'm also happy for that as well.
And even on that part, I personally don't want him to have any success. If he was coaching any other basketball team, I wouldn't care. But I hope they fail miserably. Just because I'm a Suns fan and that's just who I am. I hope they fail miserably. I hope they don't even make the playoffs. But that's obviously just me being, again, a Suns fan. I hate the Lakers. But realistically, if I'm speaking with my mind, I'm probably – I don't know if they're successful. If I were to say that you know what? Okay, with the team they have right now, say LeBron is on the roster. How many games do you think the Lakers win with JJ Redick as their head coach next year?
The same roster that they had last year?
The same roster that they have last year. Say they bring him back and, in fact, just switch out Darvin Ham and JJ Redick.
It's just the availability of LeBron and AD because they're most likely not going to play all 82 games. So that you have to put that into perspective as well. I'd say about between 45 and 50.
Really? That many? It's tough.
I honestly think we're gonna see Redick be a more communicative coach and a more aware an awareness type of coach. We're gonna see him be able to step it up more than what we saw from Darvin Ham last season.
They have to. And they have to. The thing Darvin Ham struggled with is
hands in his pockets.
Wasn't. Well, that too. There was something in his pockets that he just refused to let go of. But the thing that Darvin Ham really struggled with is in-game adjustments. In-game adjustments. Um, so the
He didn't know when to call timeouts.
he never really called timeout. But even when he didn't make the right adjustments in order for them to win the game. He just kept telling them to do what they're doing because you have LeBron, because you have Anthony Davis. He thought that was just going to work. No, you cannot go win a championship on talent alone. On talent alone. And so you have to have a game plan. You have to come up with a scheme. You have to come up with a defensive game plan. You have to come up with a defensive scheme. How are you going to stop the guys from scoring, and how are you going to score on those same guys? So again, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an intriguing season. So, and again, JJ Redick, again, it's such an interesting pick.
What's your prediction? It's gonna be in the same ballpark as what I said.
I think they win less than what you said. I think they win anywhere between 35 to 43 games.
So you think they're either going to be around the 500 mark or under 500?
Yes, because I don't know how much more you can improve this roster, especially because, again, you're paying LeBron and you're paying Anthony Davis. LeBron is not the most attractive player to come play with, right? Because LeBron is the team. He is the team. He always has been wherever he goes. LeBron is the team that he plays on. And so that comes with a lot of pressure, right? There's guys who thrived. There's guys who did not shoot the ball well with LeBron, went elsewhere, and absolutely thrived. Malik Beasley being one of those guys. Malik Beasley couldn't throw it in the ocean when he was in LA, but then led the league in three-point percentage this year, playing alongside Giannis and Dame. So it's also, and it's just the ability of the Lakers to go get role players and go get guys that actually fit with LeBron and AD. So it's interesting. So yeah, I'm going to say 35 to 43 games that they win this upcoming year with JJ Redick, and I think they're the 9th or 10th seed.
I'm gonna go a little higher between 6, 7, and 8.
6, 7, and 8. Okay, and I could definitely see that. Obviously, with LeBron, anything's possible.
Especially with the West last year too. I mean, a 45-win team. I mean, you're still you're an 8th seed. I mean, it's just that stacked. So I think the record is gonna be up there. If it was in the East, they probably could have been like a 4th seed, but in the West, being as stacked as it is, even with the record of 45 wins, 46 wins, you're still not gonna be in like the top 5 positions.
No, and because the thing is, a lot of these teams aren't going anywhere. OKC's not going anywhere. Minnesota's not going anywhere. Phoenix wasn't like they weren't great, but we're not going anywhere. Denver's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Sacramento just brought back their
Dallas
6-man candidate. Dallas, who just went to the finals, is not going anywhere. So it's going to be tough for the Lakers to actually be able to compete. Obviously, when you have 2 great players like they do, you're going to be able to compete in every game. But again, you have to be able to build a roster around those 2 great players in order for those 2 players to succeed and really have an impact on the game and actually give themselves a chance to go through the West and get to the finals and possibly win the finals. But again, even if you get to the finals, Boston's not going anywhere. Milwaukee's not going anywhere. Philly's not going anywhere, and they might get better. So, and the Knicks are going to get better. So it's tough, man. You got to keep moving. You got to keep moving with the stride. You got to keep moving. You got to keep up with the Joneses. Got to keep up with the Joneses. So it's going to be interesting. More NBA news. I wanted to go over some hypotheticals as well as some actual trades that happened. I did not mention it in something to chew on, but yesterday, it looks like a straight up trade, player for player. Josh Giddey from the OKC Thunder goes to the Chicago Bulls, who gives up Alex Caruso. Kev, I see you shaking your head. What's your reaction to this trade?
The Thunder fleeced the Bulls, and I'll tell you why. When you get an all-defensive guard in Alex Caruso for someone that yes, he's younger. That's the only positive you get from that. With no draft picks, you ain't got no draft picks, no other pieces, just one on one. Like, look, Giddy's only what 23, 24 around that age. I mean, yes,
Very
he's
young.
younger. You have time to progress him, and hopefully he'll be one of your core pieces to your team. But like we saw last year, like there was times when he looked unplayable. There was times when you would have to take him out because he couldn't spread the floor, he couldn't defend. And it's just sad to say that because the previous year he looked very promising. He looked like he could be a very good guard along SGA, but last year where he struggled, and the fact that you just gave him up, like you just gave up Caruso, who was one of the best defensive guards last year, who I think in my opinion, whichever team he goes to, it's gonna boost their defensive side of the ball. And if you're contending for a championship, I want someone like Alex Caruso on that team, especially with what he can do on offense. He can catch and shoot. He can at times drive to the basket. And then on defense, you don't gotta talk about his defense because we all seen with our own eyes. I mean, he has a defensive team to back up. Was he on the defensive team, or am I tripping? He was the second,
This
right?
year, I don't. This year, was he on the defensive team? I believe he. Oh man, was he? I mean,
If he was, it would be on the second because I don't think he was on first. But
NBA
but yeah, I mean, when you
defense.
give up someone like Alex Caruso just for Josh Giddey, I think the Bulls lose the trade, and I think the Thunder, if anything, they got better from the trade for Alex Caruso.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And let me find out here. Alex Caruso was not on an
Even though
all.
I think he could have been a all defensive second team.
He absolutely could have been. I agree 100%. Um, the hold on one second. I agree with you. In terms of the the Thunder fleeced the Bulls just because of what they got out of it. Josh Giddey is not that great of a defender. He's just not. Um, I gotta. Josh Giddey's not that good of a defender, but what Josh Giddey does, what he does very well is, um, he facilitates. He facilitates, and if he when he wants to, he can be a walking triple double. He can get his 10 assists. He can get his his 10 boards, and he can get his 15, 16, 17 points maybe, but he can affect the game in that way. And he can play, and he's a big point guard. Like he's a big point guard. Again, he doesn't have the athleticism. He doesn't exactly have the scoring ability. Of someone like Alex Caruso, but you're getting a facilitator, somebody who can rebound as a guard, somebody who can, again, get you 10, 11, 13, 15, 16 points. And then Thunder are getting you a defensive guard, right? Somebody who can guard your best players, your Jamal Murray's of the world, your De'Aaron Foxes of the world, your Kyrie Irvings of the world. Who else in the West? The Devin Bookers of the world. You're getting a guy who can guard the best perimeter player on a good basketball team. And that's what they needed. Again, you have Lou Dort, but Lou Dort had to do that every night. So by the time that the postseason came around, it was tough. It was tough to it was tough for
I knew you couldn't keep it straight face.
That was funny. And
Go ahead
actually,
and
that's
say
a
it,
good
Jamal.
point.
Go ahead and
Huh?
say it, Jamal. Go ahead and say it, bro.
Kevin, somebody said, was that in our comments? Oh,
It would
no.
not. It was on Instagram. It was one of the posts after the trade went down.
So obviously, Josh Giddey had his off the court allegations with, obviously having hung out with a minor and possibly dating a minor, things like that. So Kevin pointed out one of the comments in the Instagram comments that were posted on Instagram revealing the news that Josh Giddey was traded for Alex Caruso. Somebody said an offender for a defender. That is so crazy. Hey, bro, there are some wild comments, bro. There are like people have too much time on their hands. People have way too much time on their hands. But Yeah, in terms of this trade, I definitely do think the Thunder won again, so you can have that second defender other than Lou Dort. So when Lou Dort does get tired, you have somebody else who could come in and play defense. Jalen Williams is a good defender, but you are also going to need him to go score. When SGA might not be on that night, you need Jalen Williams to go get his 20, right? So and you need Chet Holmgren to go get his 20 and his 10 boards. So Josh Giddey just wasn't a big need for them anymore because they already had so much of what Josh Giddey can do. They were able to get rid of him. You need more defense and you need more 3-point shooting. Those are two things Josh Giddey lacks very much in. So you bring that in with Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso obviously brings the impact that he does, especially on the defensive end. Again, I cannot stress that enough. So I think this was a fantastic trade for OKC, but I don't think OKC fleeced Chicago as much as a lot of people think they did. Because I think Josh Giddey is a productive player. I think he can be a productive player, especially like maybe not on the best team, but again, Josh Giddey, I'm sure DeMar DeRozan is leaving. There's a good chance Zach LaVine is gone. Vucevic may be gone. But that might be a good point guard to be able to set up Kobe White for him to be able to score and really use his scoring ability to the best of his ability. So it'll be interesting. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Kev, do you have any touches about that trade?
An defender for a defender is kind of crazy down in you, bro.
That is so crazy. Obviously, when you're in the league, man, you got to watch out, bro, because there's always people watching. And I think he was cleared of any charges that were charged against him. But people, man, I was trying to get.
Yeah, it's gonna stick with him for the rest of his life, though. I mean, it's not something people are just gonna forget about.
Absolutely, and so, but that's what you bring on by taking on a Josh Giddey. So whether Chicago keeps him or maybe Chicago can move off of him, that's what you give up. That's Josh Giddey. That's what he's gonna have to carry around with him for the rest of his life. It sucks, but my dad always told me, man, you got to live with the decisions you make. That's one of the decisions he made. It is what it is. But did want to go over some potential rumored trades that have been kind of moved around here the last few weeks, especially with free agency coming up. Obviously, the NBA season just coming to a close. One of those trades, very interesting to me. The Brooklyn Nets, they trade away Mikal Bridges and get back the number 3 overall pick, Jayshawn Tate, a 2025 first-round pick swap, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round swap, and again, all that for Mikal Bridges. Who, if that trade were to happen, who would come out on top?
Who's trading for Mikal?
Houston.
Okay. And did you see the 3rd pick in of this year's draft? And what other picks? Is it upcoming future picks, or is it also this draft class as well?
So it is a 2025 first-round pick swap, a 2026 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round swap.
That's 4 first-round picks right there. And Jayshawn Tate isn't a bad player. He could be a good rotational player for them as well.
Yeah, especially a young Brooklyn team.
If you're Houston and you're looking to contend, it's gonna be harder. But you do have guys like Şengün, who I'm very high on. You have another promising player who finally came out of his shell in Jalen Green. He was on a stretch when they had a game-winning streak. And then you also have Amen Thompson, who I think has very high potential as well. So if you put Mikal Bridges at the 3 on that lineup, do they get better? Yes, but are they a team that you could be on the lookout for in the West, where they can contend against other teams? My answer is no, and I think it's just because that team is so young, to where you're not gonna see the Rockets as a contending team, even with Mikal Bridges, on that team. And what they're giving up in return for Mikal Bridges, 4 first-round picks is a lot. And even for someone like Mikal, who you're very high on, 4 first-round picks is a lot, especially when he's also not young anymore. He's about to turn 28, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's also not no 24, 25-year-old where you can build around and hopefully progress, because he's already reached his prime, and he's only gonna have a couple of years left of high end defensive IQ, being able to just be that defensive anchor for them, especially on that wing position. So if you're the Rockets, you want to give up that many first round pick. I mean, it's all first round picks, right?
Yeah. All first round picks.
And if you're willing to give up all those first round picks, you have to be ready to commit and contend. And I don't think Houston's at a contending team just yet.
No, I mean, even if again, that's a lot. I love Mikal Bridges. I love Mikal Bridges. But you, 4 first round picks for a player who will not be a star on your team. He'll be a starter, but he will not be a star on your team. Again, he'll be a very good player, but he won't be that guy that you build around. He won't be Jabari Smith. He won't be Jalen Green that you build around. So yeah, I think giving up that much would be a lot. Again, two of them were pick swaps. The other 2 were actual picks. But that's just a lot. That's a lot. And I think a lot. And even if they were to do that, I don't see them being any more than 9 seed. Yeah, 10 seed, maybe 8 seed if they're lucky. Maybe if a few people get hurt. So I'm not the biggest fan of that trade for Houston. And also it hurts because I don't want to see Mikal go anywhere else. I'm tired. If it were up to me, I'd want Mikal here. I'd want Mikal here in Phoenix. But again, it's not gonna.
You don't want Mikal teaming up with his Villanova teammates in New York.
No, because if they do that, they might go win a championship. And I don't want Mikal to win the championship anywhere but Phoenix. But no, I think that'd be a very dangerous team. I think that'd be a very dangerous team if Mikal were to go and team up with obviously DiVincenzo and Brunson and Josh Hart, his former Villanova teammates. So that'd be interesting. So if that were to happen, again, I don't know how much I like it for the Rockets, but I guess it is what it is. Here's an interesting one. Phoenix Suns and Charlotte Hornets. The Phoenix Suns trade away Yusuf Nurkic, the number 22 overall pick, and a 2031 second-round pick. In return, they get Nick Richards and Grant Williams. I'm going to take off on this first, if you don't mind, Kev.
Go ahead.
Grant Williams, I don't really care too much for, if I'm being completely honest. Grant Williams, he's a decent defender. He's got size. I don't know if he would be the 7th man off our bench, the 8th man off our bench. Especially, I don't know if he'd get playoff minutes. But in terms of, again, physicality, defense, maybe even that enforcer, I would like it. I would like it on our team. But in terms of like him being a key piece, I don't really see it. He doesn't shoot the 3 ball very well. He doesn't really do anything offensively very well. Like I said, he's a decent defender. He's more of an enforcer than he is anything else. So I can't really imagine him being a key piece on our team. Nick Richards, I do love. Nick Richards, I love that addition. He brings extreme athleticism. If Devin Booker's driving down the lane, he throws up to Nick Richards and he catches the lob. Almost like a Derek Lively, almost like a Daniel Gafford, somebody who can go up and get it and slam it down whenever you need to. A rim protector, somebody who, again, athleticism comes back into the picture. You can jump, block the shot. Just a big athletic force at the rim to scare people away. So Nick Richards, I love. Yusuf Nurkic was very good for us last year. He played a lot. I think the most he's played possibly in his career. The most games he played in his career. So he was very good for us. I really love Yusuf Nurkic and his ability to pass the ball and his ability to kind of facilitate without that point guard that we really needed. With his ability to kind of find KD on those backdoor cuts, find Bradley Beal on those backdoor cuts. He's a very good rebounder. Obviously, he had the highest rebounding game in the league this season. He had 31 boards in the game. So he did a lot of good things for us. I just don't think the things that he provides will help us win a championship. And I think Nick Richards brings a lot more of that. Again, his ability to go up and catch lobs, his ability to protect the rim, his ability to, again, not necessarily guards on the perimeter, but move his feet a little faster than Yusuf Nurkic and defend the pick and roll a little bit better. Again, because of his pure athleticism. So I would love Nick Richards. Grant Williams, again, I guess he's just kind of thrown in the trade. But yeah, in terms of that trade, I would not mind that at all.
When you brought up Charlotte, I was like, "There's no way they're trading Mark Williams because I think that's their franchise center for years to
Yeah.
come." Nick Richards as a backup for them was pretty good. I could I see him start another team? Yes. I was thinking you were gonna say Nick Richards and Miles Bridges, and if that trade was to
Okay.
happen, I feel like you'd be a big fan of that trade because of what Miles Bridges can bring to the basketball court. Speaking whatever's going on outside of the basketball for him, but inside the
Yeah.
court, I mean, he is a hooper. I mean, there was a season, I think it was not last season, but seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, where he was averaging 20 points per game. I mean, he's shown that he can hoop. I mean, he's a slasher. He can shoot the ball a bit. Defensively, he's not known to play defense, but who knows? If he probably won't have to do much on defense if he's already playing good offense, being that third option, that fourth option for them. But just for Grant Williams and Nick Richards, for Yusuf Nurkic, I think it's a trade where Phoenix could benefit from that, only because of what Nick Richards can bring on offense and defensively, especially on defense I'm more of a huge fan of him on defense than Nurkic. Only because Nurkic, like you said, he's slow and he's like almost 300 pounds. So if you expect him to switch off with a pick and roll, he's not going to keep up with guards or even wings at times too. With Nick Richards, he's a lot lighter. He's a lot more lengthier, and I think that's going to help for Phoenix. But I'm not sure how I feel about that trade exactly because I'm not sure how both sides would benefit from that. Because I did bring it up to you before. I like the Atlanta Hawks trade. If you guys do try to trade for Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter or something like that,
Yeah.
and I feel like I like Clint more than Nick Richards only because of what we've seen Clint as a starter for the Atlanta Hawks. He's a very even for the Rockets too. If people forgot he was on the Rockets when he was on the Rockets, he was a
Very
very
good.
dominant center, a very good defensive center. And
Yeah.
so he's not the same as he once was back when he was younger. But I kind of like Clint more with Phoenix only because of what he can offer more on the defensive side of the ball, and he's also one of the best lob threats as well. So
Yep.
if you guys look away past the Charlotte Hornets trade and you guys look into trading with the Hawks, I would prefer that trade over the Hornets.
I would absolutely love Clint Capella. I would love Clint Capella to be here in Phoenix. I just think I don't think we have the money. I don't think we have the money, especially for DeAndre Hunter or Clint Capella. Obviously, we gave Grayson Allen an extension. We bringing back Royce O'Neal, and obviously with the big three getting paid, I think Elon Musk makes that in like 2 months. So they're making a lot of money. So we won't be just the money part is what scares me because we don't really have too much money to bring in. And so I think that's why that Nick Richards and Grant Williams trade was so attractive is that we get off Yusuf Nurkic. Again, he doesn't have a huge contract, but he has a pretty decent sized contract. But to get off that contract, bring in somebody younger, more athletic, more dynamic, and to take his spot. So again, I'd be a fan of that trade, and I would love Clint Capella. I would love Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter here, but we just don't have the money for it, and that's the only part that sucks. Last one before we get into some football. This is way out there. But I did see this, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. So, the Lakers and Charlotte Hornets. Stay with me now. The Lakers give up Rui Hachimura, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Gabe Vincent, the number 17 overall pick, a 2025 second round pick, a 2026 first round swap, a 2027 second round pick, a 2028 first round swap, a 2029 first round pick, a 2030 second round pick, a 2031 first round pick, top one protection, and that one turns into a 2031 second rounder if not conveyed. All that for LaMelo Ball. If that were to go down, would LaMelo Ball be a good fit with LeBron and AD?
Look, I love LaMelo, and I think he would be a good fit, especially what he can do on the basketball court. I mean, we've heard rumors and scenarios about Trey Young going to the Lakers, and I think LaMelo could offer them the same production. When with Trey Young giving you 30 and 10 on the Hawks, LaMelo could do around the same as well, giving you like 27 and 10. He was how he was doing the Hornets before. He keeps getting hurt though. That's the only problem though. And when you give up like a gazillion draft picks and someone like Rui Hachimura, I mean Hachimura, I'm a big fan of, especially
Yeah.
on offense he can stretch the ball, and on defense his post defense, in my opinion, is better than his perimeter defense. And when he plays defense, he plays with lots of energy as well, and he just hustles every single time to the ball. So you're giving up someone like Rui. For Charlotte, I don't know how you're gonna play Rui, especially when you have someone like Brandon Miller at that 3 spot. You can probably slide him to the 4, but you also have Miles Bridges there too. So I'm not sure how it would work out for Charlotte, but for LA, you're giving up your whole entire future to possibly win another ring. And if you're the Lakers, and if you think this is it, where LeBron's on his final years and AD isn't gonna be any younger, and you're bringing someone like LaMelo, I think having that big three right there, even after losing Rui, I think it could take him even higher, and it could take him into a top 5, top 4 team in the West.
If I'm a Lakers fan, I'm screaming, no. LaMelo Ball, number one, like you said already, Kevin, he cannot stay healthy. He's never been able to stay healthy for an entire season. For whatever reason, them ball boys just are fragile. That's number one. Number two, you are giving up your entire future. Again, you mentioned it. Your entire future for LaMelo Ball, somebody who can't even stay healthy. And number three, I think LaMelo Ball would be a terrible fit for the Lakers. LaMelo Ball and LeBron have the same play style. They have the same play style. There's a reason why Russell Westbrook and LeBron didn't work. They have the same play style. LaMelo Ball cannot play off the ball. And who's going to have the ball in their hands 90% of the time? LeBron James. LeBron James is going to have the ball in their hand 90% of the time. They would be a horrific fit. LaMelo Ball, obviously, when he's on the court, he's very good. He's very good. He can pass the ball at a very high level. He can score the ball at a very high level. He's a decent three-point shooter. What does that sound like? Who does that sound like? LeBron James. They have the same play style. There's only one basketball. So you can't have two people who are just okay three-point shooters, especially around LeBron. LeBron needs three-point shooters. I don't think Trae Young would also be a very good fit on the Lakers, but Trae Young would be a better fit on the Lakers because he can catch and shoot. LaMelo Ball is not going to sit there and sit in the corner and catch and shoot. LaMelo Ball needs the ball in his hands to be effective. No pun intended. LaMelo Ball, he is very ball dominant. He needs the basketball. He needs the ball to have an impact. Obviously, when you're playing with LeBron, you're not going to have the ball. I'm not even mentioning AD, who needs to get fed. So LaMelo Ball, I think, would be a horrific fit. I think it'd be a terrible fit on the Lakers. But if I'm a Sun, like me as a Suns fan, what? Give up everything. Give up everything to go get LaMelo Ball just so you can watch it fail. Just so you can watch the whole thing fail. Go ahead. Again, that was kind of out there. I cannot imagine.
It's a 1% chance of that happening if we're being realistic, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the trades where you do in 2K and it gets even declined in 2K. So
yeah,
it's something that is not bound to happen, and I think it will never happen.
Yeah, no, and it was on this list, so I had to. I definitely wanted to see a reaction to it. What is playing right now? But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like again, it's not, but it's funny to talk about and react to as if it's actually realistic. So I definitely want to get to definitely wanted to get your reaction to that. Really quickly, while we have a few minutes left, there are obviously NFL training camp is around the corner next month. We'll be getting into football a lot more. But there are still some big name free agents on the market. Obviously, there was a safety frenzy where a bunch of safeties were released. Again, there's some older players, but again, they're big names, I guess. So one of the first names that not a safety, but one of the first names that kind of caught my eye, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, your boy, Slant Boy. Obviously, he led the league in receiving a couple years ago, and then hasn't really been able to stay healthy since. He is currently a free agent. Can you see any team signing him? And if you do, who is most likely to sign him?
There's lots of different teams where he could go to. Um, I could see a couple contending teams maybe wanting his services. A team like maybe Kansas City, because you have speedsters out there and you have Travis Kelsey out there, but you don't have like a possession receiver. I mean, Rasheed Rice, I like Rasheed Rice a lot, but for someone that can get you guaranteed yards after the catch, I mean, you look at someone like Michael Thomas, that could move the needle for them even more. Another team like the Bills, I mean, if your best receiver is Keon Coleman, I would take a chance on Michael Thomas. I mean, you've seen what he did in the past before the injuries. Other teams, maybe the Chargers, especially when you don't have when your best receiver by default is Quentin Johnson. Um, I would take a chance on Michael Thomas. I think a team that is needing receivers, I could see him making a move for Michael Thomas.
Yeah, one of the teams that, and you actually mentioned him. I would love to see Michael Thomas in Buffalo. Give him a chance. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? He's not gonna attract big money because, well, two things that don't go together very well in the NFL: age and injuries. And that's exactly what Michael Thomas is going through right now. He's 31 and has been riddled by injuries for the past 3 or 4 years. But again, we've seen what he's been able to do when he's healthy. He led the league in receiving yards. He led the league in catches. We've been able to see what he can do when he's healthy. I think the Bills for sure is a team that I think should take a chance on him. Kansas City as well. Obviously, we don't know what's happening with Rasheed Rice and his situation off the field. Obviously, you go out and you sign a Hollywood Brown, and then you bring in Xavier Worthy from the draft in the first round. Bring it. What can it hurt? What can it hurt? Again, he's not going to come in. He's not going to be asking for. You can sign him on a vet minimum. You can sign him on a deal that Odell was on last year, but even less than that. Odell made like 1 year, like $13 million. You give Michael Thomas 1 year, $6-7 million with some incentives. Again, what's the worst that can happen? Oh, he's not good. We tried.
It was 1 year. It was just 1 year though.
Just 1 year. So again, just give him a try. Stephon Gilmore is still also out there. Is there a team that you could possibly see him, or maybe a team that could take a chance on him?
If you were to ask me, I had named 3 players on the top of my head where it was very eye-opening, and you named him right there, Stephon Gilmore. Last year on the Cowboys, when Diggs went down and Gilmore had to become the number 1 corner by default, he played pretty good. He played like what you expect from him, and more too. He looked really good out there. He wasn't like the year he wanted to deploy in 2019 with us, or 2018, whichever one of those years. I forget. I think it's 2019, but he's also getting up there in age. He's like 30, 31. I mean, he's not getting it. 33. Okay, my bad.
33.
But even so, even last year when early 30s is the year when corner starts to slow down. I didn't see that much slowing down from him. He played very well last year for the Cowboys. I was surprised when Dallas didn't re-sign him. Probably because they didn't have enough money to re-sign him. But a team that I would love to see is us. Bring him back to New England. A reunion. But another team that would need another corner is you guys, the Cardinals.
Yep.
I feel like him going to AZ would be beneficial for you guys. He would probably slide in as your number one corner, in my opinion. Because he's 6'1" and he's still able to move. He still has the ball hawk, awareness that he has. Another team that could possibly use his services, I would say maybe the Eagles, because their secondary struggled a lot last year too. Darius Slay didn't look like his self last year, like how he did the previous year. James Bradbury, in my opinion, looked complete ass last year.
Yeah, he's
Um,
terrible. Terrible.
so you bring in Stephon Gilmore, you put him at the number two corner. That could be beneficial for the Eagles, especially if you want to go back to the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles and Stephon Gilmore wouldn't be a bad idea as well.
Yeah, I would have loved, and maybe we still might get that opportunity just because of how close we're getting to training camp. And usually these big name free agents, the closer you get to training camp, the cheaper they become, just because they're looking for a team to play on. Stephon Gilmore, I would love for him to come to the Cardinals. We have a bunch of young corners. We have Garrett Williams. We have Keitrell Clark. We have Starling Thomas. A guy like Stephon Gilmore, those guys can learn from. We go out. We did sign Sean Murphy Bunting this year. So Sean Murphy Bunting had a decent year last year in Tennessee. So we did add him, but we also have a bunch of young corners. We drafted Max Melton. We drafted Elijah Jones this year. So we have a lot of corners. But if we were to bring in that veteran guy who's done it before, obviously he's a defensive player of the year. He's played at the highest level. Can you teach these guys how to do it? Right? Maybe not at this point. Again, he's a little older, 33 now. So he's a little older in his career. Maybe he doesn't want to be that kind of mentor just yet. Maybe he believes he still has something left in him. But just playing on a team and still trying to play at the highest level can teach those younger guys like Garrett Williams, like Max Melton, like Keitrell Clark. This is how you go about yourself. This is what you need to do to be a lockdown, a top corner in this league. So I would love Stephon Gilmore to be here. I think mainly for that. I don't know if we're gonna put him on maybe we would put him on the number one guys, but I think I would love Stephon Gilmore mainly because to help out the younger corners on the roster. One more guy, another big name that was released this season, Justin Simmons, safety for the Broncos.
That was my other guy too.
Yeah, he's still out there. Is there any teams that you think that could use Justin Simmons or might take a chance on Justin Simmons?
The team that comes on the top of my head right now, Jamal, is the New York Jets.
Okay.
And did they sell Marcus May, or is he not on the team no more?
Marcus May is a New Orleans Saint.
Okay, so they don't even have him no more, and I feel like you can slide Justin Simmons into that strong safety or free safety position, and I think it would work well either way. Because on paper, that's their biggest hole on defense. They have a Quinnen Williams on that defensive front. And then they have Sauce Gardner, who is the top 3 corner in my opinion. And you also have DJ Reed, who's an excellent number 2 corner as well.
Mm-hmm.
So their linebacker CJ Mosley.
Yep.
So you have a good front seven. You have good corners. You're missing that back end and that security blanket for your secondary. And I feel like he still has some gas left in the tank. I don't know. I was surprised when the Broncos released him.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Kevin.
My bad. Where did I cut off from?
You were surprised when the Broncos released Justin Simmons.
I was surprised because yes, he wasn't a Pro Bowler last year, like how he was the previous seasons, but he can still play. Especially he's not like a 37, 35-year-old safety. He's only in the early 30s. I feel like he can give you maybe 2 seasons left of elite safety play, and I feel like the Jets could use someone like him.
The Jets, I think, is a great example. I think that's a great team that could use Justin Simmons. Another AFC East team, the Miami Dolphins. You have Javon Holland. Who's on the other side of Javon Holland? Can you put a Justin Simmons over there just for a year? Again, I'm not saying you sign this guy. Again, he's a little older. 30-year-old safeties don't exactly age very well. So again, he's a little older. Can you put Justin Simmons on the other side of Javon Holland for the next year or two? I mean, there's always a team who could use a safety like Justin Simmons. My opinion, one of the best safeties in the league, top 5 for sure, at least of the past few years. But and it's hard because you see deals like Antoine Winfield got, who was the highest paid DB of all time. So you see guys like that, and so it makes it hard for these DBs to be like, okay, well, Antoine Winfield got this. Well, Antoine Winfield was also a first team All Pro. Okay, well, Buda Baker got this. Buda Baker was also an All Pro and a Pro Bowler, right? So they kind of look at these guys and compare themselves to them. And I think Justin Simmons, I think he's going to want money, but again, the closer it gets to training camp, I just think that he's going to get cheaper. He's going to get cheaper. Again, especially because they're just at this point they're just looking for a team to go play for before training camp, so they actually get a chance to learn and adjust to the system that whatever team he may go to, whatever system they run. So Justin Simmons, I think he can still have an impact on a team this season, preferably maybe a championship contending team. Again, maybe a Baltimore on the other side of Kyle Hamilton. I mean, Marcus Williams, he's been good, but I think Justin Simmons is also just a little bit better. So it's tough, man. It's tough to see. Maybe in Chicago, and now that Eddie Jackson is gone, so it's interesting. It's interesting. So definitely looking forward to more football talk as we get closer to training camp. But that is going to wrap up today's show. I hope you all enjoyed, man.
I actually got one more.
Go ahead.
I was looking at the free agents this morning, and you didn't name him yet, and I wanted to bring it up before we end the show. David Bakhtiari, left tackle. I feel like I don't know why he still doesn't have a team yet. He's not like way past his prime. I mean, 2 seasons ago, he was a Pro Bowler. I mean, protecting Rodgers' blind side back in Green Bay. So why doesn't he have a team yet? Maybe he wasn't available the whole season last year. Maybe that's what's holding him back from a contract. But that's another intriguing player as well. Where why isn't he on a team? There was once like seasons ago where it was him and Trent Williams as the best left tackles in the league. So that's another team that could use him. Like I said, the Jets. I feel like they had problems on that O-line last year, protecting their quarterback. So you bring in someone like David Bakhtiari to pair him up with Aaron Rodgers once again. I mean, that could be a recipe for success. I mean, we've seen what they did together. We've seen how Rodgers is protected at that behind his back all the time. I mean, left tackles is, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important positions on that side of the ball on the front five. Oh, yeah. And I think when you bring in someone like Bakhtiari, who has protected Rodgers for countless amount of seasons, a Pro Bowler, I think it's a perfect fit. I think they should bring in someone like David Bakhtiari, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, David Bakhtiari has been a very good tackle for a very long time in this league. So I mean, even a return to Green Bay to be able to cover Jordan Love's back blind side, I think he'd still be very good there. And there's a lot of teams that can use him. So, and you mentioned the Jets. The Jets, if Aaron Rodgers ever decides he wants to play football again, I think that'd be a good addition for him. David Bakhtiari is a very, very good left tackle. Again, he, like you said, he's been a Pro Bowler. He's been All Pro. He's been one of the best offensive linemen, not just left tackles, but the best offensive linemen in this league for a very long time. So I'm absolutely not throwing that in the back burner because he can have an impact on a team now that he's healthy. Again, he's coming off an ACL, which is scary. DJ Humphries is doing the same thing. He's coming off an ACL. Again, for somebody that big, obviously offensive line, you have to be big, but somebody that big to hold up that much weight, how strong is that ACL? How strong is that ACL for you be able to put all that weight on it and move it as quickly as they do? And can you stay with the Micah Parsons of the world? Can you stay with the Myles Garretts of the world? Can you stay with the Nick Bosa's of the world, the Chase Youngs of the world, Cameron Jordans of the world? So it's It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very interesting. So hopefully he lands somewhere. I think he will. I think he'll get a very small deal. I don't think he'll get paid very much again. Like I said, I don't want to sound like a broken record. The closer you get to training camp, the cheaper these players become because they're just looking for a team. So Dave Bakhtiari is a very interesting piece. I'm glad you brought him up because he can definitely make an impact on a lot of teams. I just talked about Chicago guarding Caleb Williams blindside. I'm sure they want to build up that offensive line to keep their future healthy, their franchise guy healthy. So Dave Bakhtiari, I'm sure he may have a few options, and I'm sure there's a few teams out there looking for him, asking him, "Hey, how's that knee? Does it feel good? Can you put weight on it? Can you do this? Can you do that?" Especially again for how good Bakhtiari was before his injury. So can he? Obviously, I don't think he'll be nearly as good as he was before his injury, but it'll be interesting. But that is going to wrap up today's show. Another great week in the books. I think we've been doing this for 3 weeks now, Monday through Friday. 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, about a month. It's been fun. Again, I don't want to speak for myself. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I've had so much fun doing this. I've had a lot of fun talking about this and obviously going over the finals and the Western Conference Finals and things like that. Were you gonna say something? My bad. Oh, but it's been fun. And we're going to keep doing it again with football getting closer. The Olympics coming up here soon. I'm going to try and see if I can get some baseball people on here to talk a little baseball. But it's been fun, man. It's been fun. And again, I cannot say it enough for the people who have been supporting. John Holiday, Jose Swain. Of course, you, Kev, D-Lo, my brother Michael. All you guys who have been supporting, Big Jess, Ricky, all you guys who have been supporting, man, it means so much to me, man. I promise you, I probably don't say it as much as I do, as much as I should, but it means honestly the world to me. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going until until that's it. We're gonna keep going. So, but I hope you all have a safe, eventful weekend. Maybe not eventful. But safe weekend. If your weekend does happen to be eventful, just stay safe, man. It's starting to get dangerous out here. But we'll be back Monday. Kev, you back with me Monday? Look at you. But sir. I'm sure they'll. Huh?
Yes, sir. I'll be back.
That again, appreciate you, man. It's always good to be able to do the show and the knowledge of sports that you have, man. It's extremely good insight.
I'm a casual.
Even if you continue to call yourself a casual, which I think everybody that actually sees you talk about sports knows that you're not. But so we'll be back Monday. Everybody have a safe weekend, man. You guys again, appreciate you for tuning in, and that's it for Kev. For yours truly, I'm out, man. See you guys Monday.
Later, y'all.